So spring decided to arrive while I wasn't looking. We went from a snowstorm and freezing rain to no snow outside. None. Oh no, I see a little patch. Okay, there's a small patch of snow, but like everything else is melted. You'll always know the approximate season that I'm filming this video in based on the beginning of this video. Or maybe I'm just messing with all of you and putting them up in July. Hello everyone, I am here today to share with you guys a video that I have been planning on doing for a while now, and I'm finally sitting down to do it and I'm so excited about it. And it's all around a beginner's guide to makeup. Today's topic is all around drugstore foundation, and I'm gonna go through a whole bunch of different things around how to buy drugstore foundation if you are new to makeup and don't know where to start. So I have a lot of information that I want to get into, and to make it not so overwhelming, I've kind of divided it into a whole bunch of little like subcategories, if you will. So I will show you guys those now in case you're interested in sort of like skipping ahead and like going to a different topic. Perhaps you already know how to test for foundation and you would just want to go to my faves. We're just gonna flip that up. Get into this. I love doing that, by the way. I'm gonna pull it down again just because it's fun. Push it this way. Editing is fun. So the first thing that you're gonna do before you actually walk into the store, I don't know if that's how you walk, but perhaps it is, you wanna go in with some understanding of what you're looking for. Otherwise the whole makeup section is gonna be very, very overwhelming, or at least it was for me when I kind of went. I was like, I don't even know where to start. First of all, know what skin type you have. Do you have really dry skin? Is your skin really oily by the end of the day? If you have a good sense of what type of skin that you have, that'll help narrow down the selection of foundations that you have to choose from. Number two, how much coverage do you like? Do you want something that's really light and barely there? Do you want really full coverage? Do you want somewhere in between? And number three, what type of finish are you looking for? If you have oily skin, I tend to go towards more of like the matte range of things, versus if you have really dry skin, go for more of a luminous finish. So now you have like a game plan. Now we need to test it out. In order to pick the right color, you're gonna need to swatch it on your skin, and the best place to swatch it is actually not on your face, it's not on your hand, it's on your neck. So find a couple of foundations that you like, make sure you know what order you put them on in, and kind of put a little, like 3 little streaks on your skin. And then you wanna look at it in a mirror and make sure it hasn't oxidized, which means it's gonna turn sort of like an orangey tone on your skin. And you also wanna make sure it's not too dark, it's not too light, it's just gonna blend really beautifully into your skin tone. Now we're gonna get into the different types of foundation. There's like a billion different ways to create a foundation. But there are 3 basic categories that you can start with. That's a good basis for a beginner. First up is powder. Now there is translucent powder, which is great for setting your makeup if you're using like a liquid foundation, but there's also pressed powders or loose powders that have some coverage in it. So if you have maybe oilier skin, this is probably a good place to go because it's going to give you some coverage, but it's also going to mattify the skin nicely as well. Now if you have dry skin, I would tend to avoid a powder foundation used as a foundation. I just find that it tends to enhance any dry patches or flakiness in the skin, things like that. Though obviously you can use it to kind of set your foundation. Number 2 is liquid foundation, which is super versatile and it's available in like a billion different intensities and textures and finishes. I find that they tend to be really usable by everyone. Just make sure that you're going into the drugstore having some idea of what I had talked about earlier in terms of your skin type and things like that. That way you can go in and zone into those keywords on the actual package itself, and that's gonna help narrow down your choices. Number 3, I kind of categorized a little bit differently, and that is a beauty balm or a BB cream. And these are kind of like an all-in-one package. So they have primers, SPFs, they usually have some form of coverage and moisturizers in them. I find that these formulas tend to be a little bit more hydrating than some of the other formulas that are out there because they tend to have a moisturizer in them. So they're a really good bet if you have dry skin. However, if you have oily skin, I would tend to look for ones that specifically say for oily skin on them. Now onto my favorite products in each of these categories. First off, powders. So the first one I want to talk about is by Bourjois. This is the Healthy Balance Matte Finish and Natural Healthy Glow pressed powder. In terms of the finish, I would call it more of a demi-matte, meaning that it's not completely mattifying, which can be very, it can make your face look very flat, but it does mattify any oiliness that you might have on your face. So I really, really like this one. The other one I really love is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. This is for normal to oily, but they also have one for dry skin as well. This one in particular mattifies everything. It kind of smooths out any big pores that you might have on your face, anything like that. I think these are fabulous and really, really good quality. Now I've find that pressed powders are a little bit easier to use than say like a loose powder. So I would go here first before going to something like this. This is the NYX HD Studio finishing powder. Sometimes you can pick up too much product on your brush and then you end up with like a really cakey mess on your skin. So what I tend to do is I tend to put a little bit into the lid and use this as a base to tap my brush into and apply the product. Okay, now on to liquid. So there's the more traditional forms, so I'll show you those first. So a couple that I like. One is the Covergirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. I really love the coverage of this. If you're looking for something that has a little bit higher level of coverage, this one is fantastic. It smooths out everything beautifully. It really adheres to the skin all day long, and it's absolutely fabulous. Plus it has an SPF of 20 in it, so this is one of my favorites. Another full coverage one that I really like is the Lasting Finish 25-hour one from Rimmel. This is the Skin Perfecting Full Coverage Foundation. Really like the coverage of this. It sits beautifully on the skin. It has a serum in it that helps it to kind of settle nicely on the skin, because sometimes with really full coverage foundations, they kind of feel like a big mask, like right on your face. And then the last one I want to talk about is in a different form than say the traditional sort of bottle or pump, and that is a cushion foundation. This is the L'Oreal Lumi Cushion Foundation. Love this product. For those of you that have dry skin, this is a fantastic foundation. It gives you this beautiful dewy luminous finish to the skin. Oily skin, I would probably stay away from this because I find that you can get oily by the end of the day if you have oily skin. But it's really great because it has a little sponge like this. And all you're gonna do is you're just going to dab it into the foundation, pick up some on here, and then press it into the skin. That's what I'm wearing on my skin right now. Such a gorgeous finish. It lasts all day and it's just a beautiful, beautiful product. And lastly, for BB cream, this is one of my favorites and I talk about it constantly on my channel. This is the NYC BB Cream 5-in-1 Bronzed Radiance. And I love this product not only because it gives a really nice level of coverage, whereas I find that oftentimes with BB creams, they tend to feel more like a moisturizer than any sort of foundation, and I find this blends the two very nicely. And now on to application techniques. There are a bunch of different ways for you to apply your foundation. We'll start with the easiest one, that's using your fingers. The one thing is you have to make sure that your hands are clean, otherwise, especially for oily skin, you're just basically spreading bacteria all over your skin and it might irritate it. Next are sponges. Now this is a beauty blender. This is a very high-end sponge, but there are ones from the drugstore as well that you can invest in, or you can just use the little wedge ones that you get like for like a giant pack of them for like $1. I find these are really great because if you wet these and then use it to apply your foundation, it's just gonna shear out the formula a little bit, so you can use a full coverage foundation and get a sheerer finish on your skin. Really great for the summertime if you don't want a ton of coverage or like stuff on your face. And now onto brushes. For liquid foundation, I tend to prefer a flat top Kabuki brush. I think it just gives you a really nice smooth finish. You can get into all the nooks and crannies, smooth out any creasing. It just looks really beautiful. This one is the Sigma Flat Top Kabuki F80. And this one doesn't shed either, which is great because there's nothing more annoying than getting little brush hairs all over your face. And then for powder foundation, I tend to prefer a dome-shaped brush that's really, really dense like this, so I can put it on and then buff it out and you just get a really beautiful finish. This one is the Genius Face Brush by Bhumi. And yeah, so those are the two brushes that I prefer. And that's everything for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you want to see more of these sort of beginner guides to drugstore makeup-esque videos. Don't forget to go and leave a comment below or thumbs up a comment below with the next topic that you guys want to see, whether it's eyeshadow palettes or mascaras, eyeliners, blushes, and bronzers, whatever it happens to be. And the comment that gets the most thumbs up, that is the one I will do next for you guys. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you, girls. Mwah!